never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Before I get into today's video, I want to first say that I've got 3 shout outs coming up at the end of the video, so please stay tuned for those. Yesterday was a very good day here on the channel, and we always really appreciate that. But today we're going to be talking about NASCAR and college football. And I will tell you what I'm going to discuss in the world of college football as soon as I give you a quick review of the Atlanta race from Sunday. If you watched the race, as always, please feel free to let me know. Unfortunately, Chase Elliott won the race. I think everybody knows by now my absolute total disdain for Chase Elliott. Ross Chastain was 2nd, Austin Cindric 3rd, Eric Jones 4th, and Ryan Blaney rounded out the top 5. Daniel Suarez was 6th, Justin Haley 7th, Eric Almirola 8th, Cole Custer 9th, and the son of NBC NASCAR sports analyst Jeff Burton, Harrison Burton, got him a top 10 by finishing in 10th place. A couple of quick thoughts on the race. First, I know I announced back at the beginning of the NASCAR season that Eric Almirola was retiring because he himself said he was retiring at the conclusion of this season, but now there's a rumor going around that he may not be retiring. I don't know if he's going to come back in the 10 car or change teams or what, but now the rumor is that he may not be retiring after all, so we'll have to wait and see where that goes. And Ross Chastain, again, was involved in wrecking other people, and me personally, I find it very entertaining. I don't like Ross Chastain at all, but it makes for very compelling TV because I know that some point down the road, somewhere, one of these drivers, if not more than one of these drivers, is going to get their revenge on Ross Chastain. I believe it was Dale Jr. during the broadcast on Sunday afternoon who said that there's no way Ross Chastain will win a championship right now with the way he's driving, because every other driver on the racetrack will make sure that doesn't happen. But NASCAR fans shouldn't complain, because the long-time NASCAR fans who used to watch back when there was bumping and wrecking, when it got banned for a long time, they complained that it was no longer around. So you can't complain when it's no longer around and then complain when it is around. You can't have it both ways. Either you like it or you don't. Either you want it or you don't. There's no in between. Me personally, I've never liked it. I think if you're talented and you're good, you can pass somebody without having to wreck them. I've always thought that. To me, if you've got to go up behind somebody and put them in the wall in order to pass them, you suck. But I do like it because it does make for very compelling television. But I can't understand why the people who don't like Ross Chastain don't like Ross Chastain. back in action this Sunday afternoon at 3 o'clock. It is the Foxwoods Resort Casino 301 from New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and that race will be on USA. If you're a NASCAR fan, then you know that most of NBC's coverage from NASCAR last year was on the NBC Sports Network. Well, the NBC Sports Network folded, it went away, so now almost all the races that was on NBC Sports Network last year is on USA. This year, again, any thoughts on the NASCAR race, please feel free to let me know. Now on to my college football topic. We're going to be talking for a few short minutes about the Phil Steele magazine because it recently came out, and I would say, me personally, if I really was going to put much stock into any magazine, it would be Phil Steele's magazine. Of course, he gets some stuff wrong. Everybody does, because nobody in history of the world is ever going to get everything right. You just can't do that. You just have to be careful what you read, because some people put stuff in their magazines just for clickbait, just to get you to read it, just to get you to buy it, when in reality it's the biggest bunch of hogwash you ever seen. And you also have to judge it on your own accord, because a lot of times somebody might say 10 things and they'll get 8 things right and they'll get 2 things wrong, and everybody will bring up the 2 things they got wrong, but they won't mention the 8 things they got right. I would say if you make 10 predictions and you get 8 right, you did pretty good. But the one thing I've always liked about Phil Steele's magazine is the fact that he never has been one to show bias towards certain conferences. He always just gives his opinion based on the talent he thinks each team has, and doesn't care what conference you play in, which is the way it should be, because talent's talent no matter what conference you're in. Another thing I like about it is if you look at Phil Steele's magazine, it's about this thick, whereas most magazines are about this thick, which tells you that Phil Steele doesn't just tell you stuff. He actually does his research. So if he's wrong, he's just wrong, and he's not wrong because he just said something. He actually researched it before he said it. So I'm not going to give all the details about the magazine, because I encourage everybody to read it. And of course, if you read the entire thing from front to back, from the first page to the last page, unless you have a lot of free time, by the time you get done, it'll be college football season, because it's just that thick. So if you're like most people and you have a full-time job and a family, you're not going to get a lot of free time on a daily basis to read it. But if you take every free second you have to read that magazine, you'll be done about the time week 0 of college football season gets here. But I will say that his top 10 is what we're going to talk about. And this is his top 10 as we go into the season. And as always, any thoughts on this, please feel free to let me know. According to him, the best team in the country is Alabama, followed by Ohio State, Georgia, and Clemson. And he has Michigan rounding out the top 5. The highest rated team in the Pac-12 is Utah, who is 6th. Notre Dame is 7th. Oklahoma, 8th. Texas A&M is 9th. And Oregon rounds out the top 10. And I think that's a very interesting top 10, because if you just look at the schedule, not things that might happen, but things that we know for sure are going to happen, is that Georgia will play Oregon. So according to Phil Steele, that's a battle of 2 top 10 teams. We also know that Alabama's going to play Texas A&M. We also know that Clemson's going to play Notre Dame. We also know that Ohio State will play Michigan. And according to Phil Steele, that's a battle of 2 top 5 teams. So a lot of the top 10 teams are already scheduled to play each other, and that's not counting what might happen in conference championship games or playoffs, things like that, just what's scheduled already in the regular season. So if all these teams are as good as Phil Steele has predicted, then we're going to have a lot of matchups that will include 2 top 10 teams. Any thoughts on this, as I said, as always, feel free to let me know. My shout outs today, the first one goes out to Sierra. She is a referee for wrestling up in North Carolina. Her and I chit-chatted yesterday for a long time on social media talking about wrestling. And another shout out goes out to Brittany, who actually comes to the majority of the SWA shows, which includes the one we just had this past Saturday night. She was in attendance that night as well. And my last one goes out to my man Jordan. And Jordan runs his own wrestling promotion in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's called Wrestling for a Cause, and I encourage you to follow them on Facebook, and you will be glad you did. Sierra, Brittany, and Jordan, thank all of you so much for subscribing, and now that you have subscribed, if you do so choose to comment on any video at any time, you'll be eligible for our 1,000 subscriber giveaway whenever we get to 1,000 subscribers. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What did the cannibal get when he was late to the feast? The cold shoulder. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.